if you know that these persons will, or that the country which gives these diplomatic assurances will not respect this. Now, the second type of protected status is, of course, as resident aliens, and therefore under human rights law, because human rights law applies in addition to humanitarian law. Now, under the former Iraqi government, the people of Ashraf benefited from certain acquired rights, the right to property and so on and so forth, and Iraq is a party to the Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, as well as the economic, social and cultural rights. And under this, I want to quote to you a general comment which the Human Rights Committee made, that aliens have an inherent right to life, they must not be subjected to torture. These are some of the core rights, in fact, but they have the right to liberty of movement and free choice of residence, and they also have the right to freedom of thought, conscience and religion. They also are protected against expulsion under various rules of international law. These are not absolute rules, but they certainly apply to the people of Ashraf. In addition, Iraq has obligations under Security Council resolutions, which has, as you know, insisted that there should be a framework under which human rights of all individuals will be guaranteed in Iraq. And as you know, the Security Council subsequently appointed certain bodies, certain organs, including the Secretary General, entrusted with the establishment of this human rights framework. Now, thirdly, the importance of refugee status. This is extremely important. They clearly qualify under the definition of a refugee, laid down both under the Iraqi constitution, the old constitution, the new one, but also under customary international law. Although Iraq is not a party to the 1951 Convention on the Status of Refugees. And what is interesting is the Iraqi government has given very contradictory statements. On the one hand, as you know, it has threatened to close Ashraf, it has threatened to use all necessary means to rid the camp of its residents, and so on and so forth. At the same time, it has attested to the legal status of the PMOI in Iraq as persons enjoying the right of political asylum. And the latest statement that was made was before the Iraqi representative before the Security Council. Now that, of course, obligates a state under international law. You can use that, of course, in order to ensure that Iraq respects its obligations. One of the most important core provisions is the principle of non-refoulement. That is at the core of refugee status, and that is that you cannot return a person to a place where there is a real risk that their life or liberty may be in danger, or in which they may face persecution on account of race, religion, etc. The principle of non-refoulement is not just a customary law principle, but a very important, very fundamental principle in international law. Finally, as far as protected status, the status of the camp itself. It has a particular status, first under Iraqi law, autonomous status, and also under international law. Military attacks against refugee camps and settlements are clearly unlawful under both refugee law and under humanitarian law. Now, in the face of the threat of renewal of attacks against the people of Ashraf, in the face of all the statements that have been made and so on, and which you have heard from our speakers today, it is essential to underline the responsibility of the international community as a whole. And these are not just words. What I want to point out is that this does lie on legal grounds. In other words, you can hold the international community responsible. First of all, Iraq's responsibility under international law. It incurs what we call state responsibility for all acts in breach of its obligations under the treaties it has adhered to and under customary international law. And Iraq's acts vis-à-vis Camp Ashraf may be qualified by what we call a serious breach by a state of an obligation arising under a peremptory norm of general international law. Peremptory norm are norms which are so fundamental that they cannot be derogated from in any circumstance. The responsibility, of course, of all states, because war crimes, crimes against humanity, certain human rights, such as the prohibition of torture and so on, involve all states in a duty to cooperate to ensure the cessation of their breach. And interestingly, in a case which Bosnia brought